This video is to help teachers prepare for and navigate through the aimsweb CBM testing. To prepare for the aimsweb CBM testing, teachers need to make sure that you have all three of the passages and that they are numbered 1, 2, and 3 for students to use while reading. 2, before testing, you need to bring 2 chairs and either a clipboard or a student desk into the hallway. And at the time of testing, you need to bring out your laptop and the 3 passages that the students will use to read. When you're ready to begin testing the students, you need to go on to the aimsweb.pearson.com website and click on the area customer ID number, type in 7395 and your username and password. Once you click login, you need to go to the screen that says My Classes. So when you first sign in, you might be at a screen that says welcome, or you might be in any one of these tabbed areas here, but in order to start aimsweb testing, you need to be in My Classes. Before you begin testing, you need to make sure that all of your students are on your class list. If not, you need to email tech office or email someone in the administrative office to make sure that they can get those students added to your list. Once you've done that and checked that all students are present in your list, you need to make sure that you're testing in the correct time frame. So to start the year, we'll benchmark students in the fall, and then throughout the year, we can change this to either winter or spring. So this is the area where you would be able to change the benchmark. When you're ready to begin assessing students, you click on Edit Scores. And again, you'll be prompted throughout for different things to make sure you're in the right areas. When you're ready to assess, you can assess the class or you can click on a specific student down here in this area to assess that student now. Students that are advanced reading students, Resource 1 students, or Resource 2 students will be assessed in their reading CBMs by their reading teacher. So the advanced teacher will assess the advanced reading teacher or reading students. Resource 1 and Resource 2 students will be assessed by their resource teacher. So you're only assessing those students in your reading class. So I'm going to go ahead and assess one of my students to start. I'm going to click on Assess Now, and her first probe or passage will come up. Okay. At this time, I need to make sure that she's looking at and ready to read Probe 1 and that it starts as soon as the temperature drops. I'm going to go ahead and click on the instructions and read the bolded instructions to that student at the start of the first passage. I'm going to remind the student that if they don't know a word, they need to tell or ask me and I'll tell it to them, and that they do their best reading and of course give them time if they have any questions. Once I'm done and ready to start kind of tracking their miscues and listening to the reading, I can either click Start Timer from here, or I can click the Start Timer here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and my time shows up here. Every time the student has a miscue, mispronounces a word, skips a word, something that would be, mispronounced, or they miss kind of an inflected ending or something, you're going to go ahead and click on that word, and it becomes almost bolded, or, it stands out with some color here, and that tells us that that's an error, that the student has misread that word. If a student goes back and self-corrects that word, so at first they mispronounced it, you marked it wrong, but then they go back and they correct it, you can click on that word again, and it will become actually unbolded or no longer in color, and that means that they self-corrected that word, okay? So as the student's reading, I'm following along every single word, making sure that they're reading every word correct. If they have a miscue that's the entire line here, you can go ahead and click on this line here, and it will miscue every single one of those words. Now, as I'm following along, the time has now expired. I'm prompted by that. It tells me that I need to select the last word that the student attempted. So let's say this student was reading and the last word that they said was vocal. I'll go ahead and click on the word vocal, and then I will be prompted to move to the next passage. Now, I don't need to reread the directions or the instructions to that student. All I need to do is tell them to kind of change that first passage to the second passage, making sure that they're looking at the passage that says Charlie Clark mark, and then tell them to begin. And when I tell them to begin, I go ahead and click that timer start again. And as they read, if they have any miscues, then I go ahead and click on those words. If they go back and self-correct, I can go back and unclick. Okay. At the end of the second passage, you'll be prompted to go to the third passage. You'll have to tell those students to begin again. And at the end of the third passage, you will actually get another list of the students that you still have left to test, or the students that are in your class. And you can go ahead and click on their names right from there, and it will automatically start that next student's test for you. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this test because I no longer need to, run through this with you. Oops. And so when you're done completely assessing all of your students, the results that can come up will kind of average themselves out with the errors, and you will get one score for each one of the students based on all 3 of their passages. And again, you should have scores for those students that you assessed, but not the students that are in those other classes that I had spoken to about prior to the beginning of this. So once you're done assessing your students, you can go ahead and log out, and it brings you back to the beginning, and then you're done.